Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Buffalo Bills 32-29 in the AFC Championship. And I am just sick for the Bills. Tony Romo's over here saying Chief Pete. The Bills are just in some... all Buffalo fans just in some punishment for what did they do? This 4 losses in 5 years, all to the Chiefs. It honestly, I don't know, how does this compare to losing 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s? Because this is close. There's not a lot of things that can be close to that. And this is close. And it's happening to the same team and the same fan base and the same city who doesn't deserve it at all. Man. Oh. It's just, it's rough. And it's sickening. And Buffalo, man, you just don't deserve it. They become the first team to not reach a Super Bowl 5 years in a row while also winning a playoff game in all 5 years. Just, I don't know. Like, at least in the 90s, they dominated this part of it, right? They just kept winning in the AFC over and over and over again. But, I don't know. The day is sour. This is just not my favorite conference championship day. Last year wasn't great either because the Lions blowing that lead, and we were all so ready to have the Detroit Lions be the story of the day, be the story of the week, the story of the year. And that's what we wanted for the Bills. And instead of the story of the week, story of the year, one of the stories of the decade, one of the stories of NFL history, we get this boring rematch between the Chiefs and the Eagles. This was 2 years ago. I know, like, everybody's complaining about the Chiefs and stuff, and I'll talk about that and the controversial call and all sorts of stuff, but even Chiefs fans, you should be a little annoyed at this rematch because it's now the second year of a Super Bowl rematch. So 4 total Super Bowls, assuming you win this one and do the three-peat and all that stuff. All of the NFL Films compilations are going to have 2 total teams. You're going to have a dynasty like montage of 4 Super Bowls, but you don't even know what you're watching as as Mahomes in slow-mo, runs over to the side and you see a 49er behind him. Is that 2019 or is that 2023? Or Kelsey catching the ball. It's like an Eagles splits 2 Eagles into the end zone. I don't know. Is that 2022 or is that 2024? It's like 4 total Super Bowls, really 5. Probably not going to show a lot of the Buccaneers one, but Eagles and 49ers both twice. Just a sickening lack of grain and color videography as they piece these Super Bowl montages together. Chiefs fans, gotta be sad about that at least. No, obviously I'm being funny, but yeah, just sick feeling. Same as with the Lions last year. I was so in on the Bills. I picked them to win preseason when that wasn't as popular. People were pretty down on them after Diggs left and stuff, but I've always had a soft spot for Buffalo since I did start watching football right in the middle of that Bills losing to the NFC East. Just rough. And I'm not one of those who's super pissed about Chiefs and that this is, rigged and this is all BS. I always pushed back a little bit on that with New England too, back when they're in their dynasty, just kind of disingenuous, strong attempts to show that the Patriots are always cheating, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. I don't feel that way. But, and going for the three-peat is kind of cool, but I was rooting for the Bills, like really rooting for them. And, this game was just a hard watch. There's one particular call that went pretty poorly. There was a heartbreaking missed magic moment on a fourth down to Kincaid that he dropped, and it's rough. But also, Buffalo deserved to lose this game, especially their defense. They would have given up 40 points if it wasn't for a fumble on a Mahomes handoff earlier in the game. So, it's still like I wouldn't say the Bills got screwed. They needed 2 4th and goals to go their way, and they barely did. They needed that handoff fumble. They gave up a second chance at the game at the end. Like everyone will talk about the Kincaid play. The 4th and 5, and Allen hucks it up, and Spagnuolo got the best of Joe Brady on that. The exotic blitz package completely blew up their 4th and 5 play. Allen still makes it happen. Kincaid drops it. It's horrible. It's tragic. It's still not field goal range, and the Bills have 3 timeouts. Nobody said you had to turn into butter and give up 2 first downs. Easy. I mean, nobody said you had to do that. You easily should have been able to stop them, let them kick a field goal, and get some sort of Hail Mary or some sort of final drive going, depending on how many first downs you allowed it. But that should have happened. Buffalo screwed up to not allow that to happen. So it's Chiefs. This is the Chiefs all year, right? They just do it right in the moment that it counts. So that all takes away from how good this game was. I mean, this was an intense game. We will always remember Chiefs-Bills as the defining games. Even the regular season games have been great, which, by the way, the Bills have won them all. 4-0 in the regular season as the Chiefs. 0-4 in the playoffs. But all of these games, especially in the last 4 years since this podcast started, have been great. 2 of the best teams in the league battling out. It's just not fair that it goes this way. Oh, man. It started pretty bad for Josh Allen, that 3 and out, a lucky 3 and out. And I say that because it's like the second and third plays of the game should have been intercepted. Second and third down, just both should have been picked by the Chiefs, and they weren't. And the Chiefs just drove down the field easy. They're getting 10 yards per play. Nobody's touching Kareem Hunt, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown's back. Like, no one is touching these players for the first 5 yards of every play. At some point, I think at the end of the half, the Chiefs were averaging 7 yards per play. I mean, unbelievable. That was after like 30 plays, too. It wasn't the super small sample size. And it looked like that. But they got that fumble. Mahomes fumbles the handoff. Buffalo gets it. They drive down the field. They go ahead 10-7. And that doesn't really stave off the defense. The Bills' defense, man, as they talk through this game, it's even worse. They go up 10-7. So what? Chiefs just drive right down the field. 7, 8. They're not even hitting third down. This is an offense that does not look good this year. Driving right down the field, they make it 14-10. Then they make it 21-10. Just Kansas City just driving. And at that point, in the second quarter, 21-10 Buffalo, or 21-10 Kansas City, and it should have been 28-10 or 28-3. Any Buffalo fan had to feel like we're like on the brim of getting blown out here near the end of the second quarter. But Josh Allen pulls some magic. Just some absolute magic. And Kirk and I were talking about this. This has got to be his 2006 Peyton Manning moment when he was down 21-3 to the Patriots, and that whole half, everyone was talking about, here we go again. Allen's having that moment, and he comes back in that end of the second quarter, drives him down the field, hits a beautiful moon ball up to Mac Hollins, makes it 21-16 at half. Would have been 17, but they didn't kick the extra point, went for 2, missed it. But 21-16 at halftime was a big win for Buffalo. And, I thought, okay, maybe they could just get their stuff together. Defense can get something together. Buffalo can start sustaining some of those good run drives that they've had all year. And I was just nervous, pacing, walking around. Dad was here, Kirk was here, Waylon was here. We were all walking around, just thinking about how much this second half means to Josh Allen's career and the Buffalo Bills overall. Like, thinking back to that 13 seconds game, thinking back to last year's, wide right 2 and that just heartbreaking loss. Thinking back to how I felt in the 1993 Super Bowl. Like, what if the Bills win one? Then suddenly all those heartbreaks are a feature. They're all part of the story, of a triumph. It's such a difference if at the end you win. Even though football doesn't technically work that way, it's not a narrative story, but when it forms a narrative story, it's so powerful. And I was just thinking, man, if Josh Allen could do this, this would be huge. This would be the Peyton Manning moment. Or it's going to be the Phillip Rivers, right? Just thinking about like 2 different careers who were quarterback careers who were, muffled underneath the Patriots dynasty. Peyton got up over it once or twice. Rivers never did. And Allen doesn't want to be on the Rivers side, but it's looking like it. They came out of half. The Bills took the lead, right? They stopped Kansas City at half. Kansas City, I think they both punted, and then Kansas City got into field goal range. They took a sack, so they had to punt again. And then Buffalo pulled one of those run the ball drive with James Cook, who's inexplicably off the field a lot today. That frustrated Kirk and I greatly. But when he was on there, man, he was dynamic. He led this drive, this 12-play, 80-yard, 7-minute drive in the middle of the third quarter, changed the whole feel of the game. They went up 22-21, missed a 2-point conversion in there as well. Had the 4th and goal. James Cook scored a touchdown that shouldn't have been scored, frankly. I mean, they had him, and he just hung in the air longer than he should have. Amazing play by James Cook to score that 4th and goal touchdown and go ahead. Chiefs get stopped again, and the Bills start running. And in the third quarter, it felt like you could hear it in the Arrowhead crowd. The Bills are taking this game. They are squeezing the life out of the Chiefs here. And it's a lot of short yardage stuff, and it's a lot of just barely getting the first down. They had a 4th down converted there, but they're just going to run the ball down the field and score another touchdown and just squeeze this game. And that's what it looked like they were doing. They had a 4th and inches. They hadn't been doing very good on all the 4th and shorts, even the one they got. The Bills were just getting stuffed. This Josh Allen, go to the left, wait a little bit, and then go forward. QB sneak was not working. They tried again, and the refs get it wrong. It's a huge moment. Releases the Chiefs from this squeeze. And, it's a wrong call. It was the wrong spot. The ref who could not see the ball spotted the ball very confidently, like an asshole. And the other ref just kind of acquiesced, the one who could see the ball. Allen got that first down, but barely. You got to wonder, why are the Bills leaving all these up to choice for the refs? So, I do see that from Chiefs' perspectives. And I don't think there was anything on review that could have overturned that. I don't think it was rigged or anything like that. It's just an unfortunate set of cameras. I get that the ball was on the line, but the camera's not on the line. It's amazing how so many people don't get the camera's not right down the line. So you just can't judge it from that. And it looked like he got it, but I don't see how they could overturn it. And the Josh Allen sneak was weak all game. So Chiefs get the ball back, down 1. They drive for a touchdown. with Mahomes' legs, by the way. Mahomes rolling out right all day today was working really well for Mahomes. And they get that touchdown, and they go and they get their 2-point conversion, and they go up 7. And I was saying, to Kirk and Dad, the winning teams convert their 2-point conversions, and the losers, like the Bills, don't, having failed 2-point conversions already. They're down 7 after that really, really unfortunate call. But hey, it's still a heavyweight battle, right? This game would have been an all-time classic if the Bills won. If the ending resulted in some dramatic Bills victory, this game would be right there with a 13 seconds game. I truly believe that. This was awesome. This was tense. All these games are. All these Chiefs-Bills games are. Even last year's game gets kind of a bad rap. This is maybe compared to the 13 seconds game. But that had 5 lead changes in 5 drives in a row. It just, no one scored in the last 12 minutes. It was still a tense 12 minutes last year. And this year, we are getting the wild swings. Buffalo drives back, ties it 29-29. Another 4th and goal. This one rocketed to Curtis Samuel. Alan, did you have to throw that so hard? I think he did, actually, because he had that second level in front of him, even though Samuel was wide open. And just one of the things that made this game so great was these intense 4th and goals. 2 of them. 2 4th and goals with Josh Allen and Buffalo's legacy on the line against the Chiefs. What situation matches that in sports? The moment that ball is snapped and you're seeing what's happening live in those seconds on a 4th and goal with this kind of stakes. What is like that? Just amazing stuff. And of course, we have the 4th and 5 later, where a good play can come out of anywhere, but a 4th down, this is significant. This is huge. So they tie it 29-29. Chiefs drive, get the field goal. Bills do well to only give up a field goal because Mahomes did another big run, roll right, brings them in the red zone. They get a sack. They put up 3. They give it back to the Bills with 3:37. So it's all set up for Josh Allen to go be the hero. Go get a touchdown and win this game in Arrowhead and change your career, change your narrative. And of course, we know what happens. He doesn't. Gets the 4th and 5. We have all 2-minute warning and that huge commercial break to think about it. Spagnuolo dials up that blitz package. Allen throws up a prayer. It's a perfect prayer. It's a little lob, a little loop. Kincaid's got to come back to it, but just misjudges it. Doesn't catch it. Not as bad as Mark Andrews, but it's in the Mark Andrews territory. And then Buffalo still has a chance, but they just give up first downs. The Bills' offense, or the Bills' defense, made the Kansas City offense look great today. And the Chiefs win. I am bummed about it, but in the end, I'm going to try and appreciate what we're seeing. Wouldn't you want to go back to watch the Steel Curtain, Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, John Stallworth? Wouldn't you want to go back to watch the 49ers play the Cowboys? Yeah, it was happening over and over and over again, but one day you will want it. And it's even getting that way to Brady. Wouldn't it be kind of cool to have the Belichick-Brady Patriots on your TV one more time? We're not quite there yet, but it will get there. And it'll get there for this team too. So, all right, well, we're going a little over, but let's talk about the other game too here, the more boring game. But the opponents for the Chiefs will be the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the championship podcast usually goes over. I don't know. I can't remember. Probably does. I'm a bit of a windbag when it comes to these legacy games. The Eagles defeat the Commanders. Absolutely blow them out of the water. 55-23. We can tear up that futures bet by Kathleen, that $6,300 payout on a $50 futures bet she made before the season for the Commanders to win the Super Bowl. In a way, we're kind of glad that we don't have to stress so much of the Super Bowl, but we're also bummed. And Kathleen has been saying all day, it's like it had to be a game like that. And a game that will always be in the books and the scorecards and the collective memory as a 55-23 game with the Eagles running in 7 touchdowns. I do one side note. It would have been funny if the Commanders did go off sides and the refs would have had to award the score in that one situation where the one guy kept trying to jump the snap. He did it twice. Then the Commanders got what appeared to me to be a genuine, authentic, separate neutral zone infraction. But the refs gave the warning and said they will award the score if the Commanders continue to do this. But what I find funny is, had they done that and the refs had to award the score, then it wouldn't go down as a rushing TD. And as context gets removed over the years, you wouldn't be able to say the Eagles scored 7 rushing touchdowns. You'd have to say they scored 6 rushing touchdowns unless you remembered that particular instance where the refs awarded a score. So it actually could have hurt the Eagles just a little bit. You're not in history. You didn't get 7 rushing touchdowns. You only got 6 and 1 awarded. So anyway, I was rooting for that. It's the same as Jaden Daniels down 4 possessions through an interception, and it will be the Commanders could not overcome 4 turnovers. It'll always be that, even though one of them is absolutely not like the others. Because the Commanders, they could have made this a game. It was a game. Jaden Daniels showed up. But the Dynamic Brown fumble, the McNichols fumble on the kickoff, the Eckler fumble on the third quarter when they were driving to potentially bring this into one possession after really capturing momentum in the third quarter. The way the game ended, you'll look at it and be like, Eagles beat up the Commanders. But this wasn't a blowout until pretty late. And, you can also say the other thing, Eagles fans are probably thinking, well, we did add all those points, and you may have still ran right over the Commanders. And I think they would have. I think the Eagles would have won this game no matter what. But the fumbles would have, if the fumbles didn't happen, it would have made it close. It would have made it fun, I mean, the game started just showing what an uphill battle Commanders had to face today. They lost their best lineman last week in Detroit. They lose Payne, their best defensive lineman, to a knee injury. You lose those 2 big old beefs and you're already an underdog. It's too much. And it felt like a David Goliath right off the bat. Like the Commanders, being David, right out the gate, come with an 18-play drive. 2 third and longs converted. 2 fourth and shorts converted. They're just getting it. There's a high wire act. They kick a field goal. Weirdly didn't go for it on 4th and 3 from the 16th or from the 16. I thought that was interesting from Dan Quinn, but it was the 18th play of the opening drive. They chose a field goal there. David pushing a boulder up the hill. And then the Eagles were Goliath casually kicking the boulder back down the hill as they run a kickoff to the 40-yard line and hand off to Saquon Barkley on 1st and 10 for a 60-yard touchdown. 1 play, 8 seconds for a touchdown versus 18 play, 7 minutes for a field goal. So, then that's when Brown fumbled right off the bat. Next thing, and Barkley gets another touchdown. And I was saying to Kathleen, I'm sorry. This is, there are certain situations where it's early, it's 14-3, you're not worried. But this was one I was very worried out. I said staving off a blowout and say, oh, it's not a blowout. And I said, not yet. And I have to admit, the Commanders surprised me with their fight back there. They had the fake punt that led to another field goal, so they cut it to 6-14, and then They force another a situation, and they get a touchdown to Terry McLaurin. Nice slant pass. Commanders' first big, like real big play of the game. It's okay. They missed the 2-point conversion, but it's 14-12. We got ourselves a game. I think we actually got ourselves a game. But the Commanders' defense, the one that in the playoff previews, everyone said was the worst defense in the playoffs, that defense showed up today, finally. And, I mean, there was a 4th and 5 for Philadelphia where they got a 31-yard pass to A.J. Brown. He just burned Lattimore. And then Lattimore gets a PI on Devonta Smith and like a 3rd and 13 inside the red zone. Eagles end up punching that touchdown in. Personal foul on Lattimore right during that. They punch that in. Then McNichols fumbles the kickoff. Like, these fumbles are just brutally timed. McNichols fumbles the kickoff. And Eagles score again. They go up. 27-12. So Jaden Daniels throws a touchdown to Terry McLaurin, brings him within 2, and before he takes another snap, he's down 16. That sucks. And these fumbles were crazy. But guess what? It wasn't a blowout from there. The Commanders pushed back. They brought it to within 2 possessions going out of the third quarter, and then they were driving. They were driving and they were making plays. They were going to make this thing a one possession no matter what. They're either going to get a field goal or a touchdown and really make this a game. We're in the third quarter here. You thought the game was over with that McNichols fumble and then the following 2 touchdowns. But the Commanders, remember, they got that crazy 50-second drive from Jaden Daniels at the end of the half to get a field goal to make it 27-15. Then they got the touchdown. Then they got a stop, so they're only down 11 points after being down so much. They're only down 11 points, even though they gave up a touchdown, even though they blew a 14-point swing on their 2 fumbles. They're still on their way to making this a one-possession game late in the third quarter, and that's when Eckler fumbles. Just man, it sucks. But, hey, Commanders' defense got pushed around. They could have made the stops, right? They could have made any of these stops. I don't mean to insinuate that the Commanders should have won this game. But it's tough. It's tough for Commanders fans. It's tough for Bills fans. You don't know if the Commanders will be back. You don't know. We've got, at one point, Blake Bortles was walking off a championship field feeling like they could have won that game, and maybe the young Jaguars and their great defense will be back. You never really know if these teams are coming back. So, I'm bummed about the rematch. Absolutely sick about Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl rematch from 2 years ago. We just had a rematch last year. It sucks. But in the end, I am going to try to appreciate Andy Reid, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, this Philadelphia team. Kansas City and Philadelphia are good football towns. Trying to just find something in it, right? Even as of, late 2010s, would have called Philadelphia and Kansas City 2 of our, kind of kindred spirit football towns here with Seattle. We care, but we're not spoiled like San Francisco or Pittsburgh or anything like that. That's pretty recent. Kansas City's in the spoiled territory now. Philadelphia's working towards a spoiled territory. But it's pretty recent that they were kindred spirits and good football towns that you would root for. So I'm going to try to just think about it as I would want to come back and experience these players in this game in 30 years. So I might as well enjoy it now. That's what I'm going to do. All right. See you for the Super Bowl preview with Kirk. My name is Miles. Good night.